everybody, welcome to a special edition of Nili's Kitchen Creations. I'm going to be showing you how to make yogurt today, and specifically Greek-style strained yogurt, like the Fage type that everyone loves, or Fage if you just want to say it like it's spelled in English. And this will by far be the most complicated recipe that I've ever shared with you guys, so I hope I can explain it well enough and that you'll be able to follow along and maybe even try it for yourself. At least it might be fun for you just to see how it's done and what the process is into making yogurt. I've been making yogurt for several years now and have found how I like it, and it's one of those things where you just kind of work with it and do trial and error until you find a way to make it that you really enjoy and that gives the end product that you like. So I will show you how I do it. And of course I have my little assistant over here, and she will be providing the sound effects with her little jingly toys, and I hope that that doesn't get too annoying for you guys. Alright, for the equipment that we're going to need today, the first thing is a big stock pot. I'm going to be making a gallon of yogurt. It will not turn out to be an entire gallon of strained yogurt because I'm going to strain it, which means I'm going to take a lot of the whey out of it, which means it won't end up being a total gallon. So I'll end up with probably about a half a gallon. But I'm going to be heating my milk in the stock pot, so you need something that will hold all the milk that you want to use. You're going to need a spoon. Just going to use a wooden spoon. It's good to use them just directly out of the dishwasher so they're sanitized and ready to go. You're going to need some containers to put your finished yogurt in, and I'm just going to be using these yogurt containers that I have left over. And then you're going to need something to incubate your yogurt, and that means something that will keep your yogurt at 90 to 110 degrees for a good 8 to 12 hours. And so the thing that I have found that works the best for me is this skillet. It's just a basic skillet that has the temperature on the side with a little dial where you can pick the temperature, and that is what I have found that works for me, but you might find something else in your kitchen that works for you. I have also used a heating pad, just the basic kind of heating pad that you would use, on your back or whatever, and put that on the counter with a towel over it, and then put my incubation bowls over the top of that, and then covered those with towels, and that was got my yogurt to the temperature it needed to be. Some people will use their oven, and just with the light on, with it out even being on, the light will give enough heat to keep your yogurt at the right temperature. You can also buy yogurt incubators that will keep your yogurt exactly the temperature it needs to be, and that makes it really easy. But you're going to have to work with your kitchen and find what works for you, and what you have to do to figure it out is you have to keep testing. And so that's the other piece of equipment that we need, is a thermometer. And this one's really easy. It's just it's not an instant read, but it just, the numbers go up and stops on the number that it is. And so you're going to use this a lot to test your incubation and see what you need to do to get it to the right temperature. And then as far as what I have up here to put the yogurt containers in, I just have two big bowls. It's just a basic metal bowl, and it's big enough that this container fits right down inside of it, like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill it up with water up to right before the lid, because the water will distribute the heat evenly so that the heat isn't just coming from the bottom and the top of it is cold. The water will keep the heat all the way around so it incubates evenly. You can see when I press this down all the way to the bottom, the water it comes up to about right here, and that's right below the lid of the yogurt container. And then I just found a lid from one of my pots to stick it on there to keep all the heat inside. Then as far as ingredients, it's very simple. You just have your milk, and you can pick however much milk you want, and that'll be how much yogurt you make. And then 2 to 3 tablespoons of plain yogurt per half gallon of yogurt that you're going to make. So I have 6 tablespoons in here because I'm going to be making a whole gallon. And the plain yogurt, if you've made yogurt before, you just take a little bit out of the batch that you just made and you save it for your next batch. Or you can go to the store and just buy a small thing of yogurt. It has to be plain, no added sweeteners or anything like that, no added fruit. This is just what I used. I think it's just our local brand here, but it's just plain, nothing added. I think Dannon plain yogurt works. Stonyfield brand works, just as long as it's plain. All right, for step number 1, we're going to do what is called scalding your milk. And that is basically just bringing the milk up to 180 degrees. So I'm just going to pour my milk into this big pot here. And I'm going to turn it on about medium-high. And I might turn it down a little bit because I don't want it to burn at the bottom. I just want it to heat evenly. So I have my spoon over here, and I'm going to be using that to stir very often just to make sure the bottom doesn't burn. So that's just my milk in the pot, and I just put it in there, so it's not going to be even close to what it should be yet. See, the temperature's going down to, yeah, pretty low. We need to heat it up to 180 degrees. It's been about 15 minutes now, and we're getting up to about 130 degrees, and so we got about 50 more degrees to go. Now, while your milk is heating up, what you're going to need to get ready is an ice bath to cool the milk down, because we're going to heat it up to 180 degrees, and then we want to cool it down to 110 degrees. So you want to fill up your sink with water and ice, and get it all ready to set the pot down in there. And there's our ice bath. And there it is. Anywhere between 180 and 185 is what you're looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the heat and take this over to my water bath. So here we go, it's in the ice bath now, and I'm just going to stir it a little bit and kind of stir the water around a little bit because it gets warm right up next to the pot, and I just want to keep stirring it to keep getting the cold water around the pot. But we're going to have this sit here in its water bath till it gets down to 110 degrees. And the amount of time that it took on the stove to get up to 180 degrees was about 28 minutes. So that's by far the most labor-intensive part of this process. There is a long time that the yogurt has to sit and incubate, but you really don't have to do much except check the temperature, you know, maybe once every hour or two. So I'm checking my temperature here, and the temperature's already come down a fair amount, but it's still 144. So we still got a few more degrees to go to get it back down to 110. And like I said in the beginning, we're going to be incubating this yogurt between 90 and 110 degrees for anywhere between 8 and 12 hours, and you can even do it longer. The difference in how long you do it is the longer you incubate your yogurt, the thicker it will get and the tangier it will get. If you want a thin, sweeter yogurt, you're going to want to incubate it less. If you want a thick, tart yogurt, you will incubate it more. Also, the temperature that you incubate your yogurt at affects the texture and the thickness of it. The lower the temperature, the thinner it is. The higher the temperature, the thicker it is, and the faster it will get done. But again, if you get it thick fast, you're going to get a more tart, tangy yogurt. So I want to try and keep mine around 95 to 100 if I can. Sometimes it's hard to get that exact temperature. Alright, so we got it there at 110, and it is ready to take back over to our workspace over there and stir in the yogurt. Okay, so now we have it down to 110 degrees, and it's time to stir in our starter here. And I have 6 tablespoons of plain yogurt, no sugar added or fruit added or anything like that. And also you want to make sure that your yogurt is at room temperature, and you want to kind of stir it up a little bit so it's smooth before you just pour it in. You don't want to have a big clump of yogurt in there and have it not be able to stir in very well. And I'm going to go ahead and take a few little spoonfuls of this warm milk and stir it in here just to get it kind of started. Stir that up until it's nice and creamy. And then I'm just going to pour it in. And I'm going to stir that up real good. Now, a lot of yogurts that you find in the store, especially non-fat yogurts, at this point they would add non-fat dry milk powder. And that will help the yogurt be thicker. I am not a fan of non-fat dry milk powder because it's basically just sugar, and I prefer to put fat in my yogurt to make it thicker. So that's why I'm using whole milk. So that's good and stirred in there, and now I'm going to pour this milk and yogurt mixture into my yogurt containers that they're going to be incubating in. All right, here are my containers, and I'm just going to pour this in here. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and put my lids on and carefully take them over to my incubator. So I just set my yogurt containers in the bowls with the water coming up just below where the lid is. So I'm going to stick my thermometer in here. And we want it to be between 90 and 110, and I like to keep it below 100 if I can, and it looks like it's just below 100, which is perfect. So if it stays like that for 8 to 12 hours, it's going to come out real nice. And as far as the temperature setting that I have on my skillet here, I'll show you that. It's this little knob here, and see, the lowest number on here is 200, and I have it past that. So it's probably set at about 150. And when I figured out that's the temperature that I needed for my yogurt to incubate correctly, I put a little Sharpie mark there. I don't think you can see it in the camera, but I can see it there, so I know that whenever I'm going to make yogurt, I just turn it to that, and usually it's perfect. And then I'm just going to put the lids on to make sure the heat stays in there real nice. And there's my incubator. Alrighty, it is about 7 o'clock in the evening now, so the yogurt has been incubating for about 8 hours, and I'm thinking it's about done. I'm gonna check it here and carefully take the lid off of the yogurt. Now it's going to get thicker after it sits in the fridge for a while, but it should be a little bit thick now. If you open up your yogurt container and it's still liquid like milk, something happened. Either it got too hot or it got too cold and the cultures died and it didn't work. But I will show you here. Oop, that looks like yogurt to me. And it's sliding right off the spoon because it's still warm, and once it sits in the fridge it will thicken up really nicely and it'll be yummy. So I'm going to go ahead and take these containers and just put them in the fridge, and they will sit in the fridge overnight. I'm going to take them out of the water bath. They're done with that, and turn off my skillet here. And they're going to sit in the fridge overnight, and then tomorrow, once they're completely cooled off, I will be showing you guys how to strain the yogurt to make it taste like the strained Greek yogurt that everyone loves so much. So I will be back in the morning to show you how it goes. Good night, everybody.